Oh, hello guys. Before I do odds and ends really fast, just one question. Does this look appetizing? Yes, it does. I know it does. But that's not the main reason. Main reason is because that was my free dessert. If you remember in my last vlog that I uploaded, I talked about how I went to dinner and I showed you the view. Well, while I was there, the waiter gave me a free dessert on the house. How freaking awesome is that? But while we were sorting out the desserts, that thing that I just showed you is called a Dutch apple pie. Now, when you hear something like that, you gotta get it out of your system. So, I was going through, and then when I hit Dutch apple pie, I said, a Dutch apple pie sounds like something that you do to like an ex-girlfriend, and everyone just like was like, oh my god, and started laughing. Because I mean, think about it. If you put it in a sentence, it almost sounds like, God, my ex-girlfriend is being such a bitch. I'm just gonna give her a freaking Dutch apple pie. I know, right? It sounds silly, it sounds ridiculous, but what can I say? I can't help it. But so enough about that. Let's get to odds and ends. Well, hello guys, it is that time once again for another edition of Odds and Ends. Right, we do some really weird news stories from all over the world, and hey, they don't call it Odds and Ends for a reason, you know? Now, I apologize for this being extremely late, but I've been busy with work, and like in my last vlog, that pretty much explains everything. But after I get this done, I'm going to do this week's edition by the end of the week, give or take Saturday at the latest, probably. So by then I'll have the newest one, and then I'll hopefully try to get back on schedule so that way when these come out every Thursday, that's what I'm hoping for. Every Thursday I should be doing these. So no kind of mixed schedules or any crazy ish like that though. But so anyways guys, if you're ready, I'm sure you are, let's get going. Our first story comes out of India, where a government official in north-central India is under fire for claiming that a recent spike in rapes can be attributed to fast food, particularly chow mein. Quote, to my understanding, consumption of fast food contributes to such incidents. Jintedir Chachatar, town council leader in Haryana's Jind district, was quoted as saying in the Times of India, quote, chow mein leads to a hormonal imbalance invoking an urge to indulge in such acts. Chachatar says burgers and pizza do factor into the rapes, but Chinese noodles are the biggest contributors to sex crimes. Quote, you also know the impact of chow mein, which is spicy food, in our body, Chachatar said. Quote, hence our elders also advised to consume light and nutritious foods. Earlier this month, Haryana's Panchayats, town councils is what they are, provoked outrage after Subbu Sinhij, another Kanhap leader, advocated lowering the age of marriage for girls from 18 to 16 on the grounds that the young girls are vulnerable to rapes and should be married off earlier. Okay, so apparently you eat chow mein and it's gonna make you rape somebody. I've never heard of that before. I mean, I've probably had chow mein, and we've all had chow mein, but in India, apparently it makes you want to rape a girl, and then they're going to try to lower the age from 18 to 16 to marry them off early, and least likely vulnerable to rape. Yeah, I don't think that's going to really fly, but I guess that's how things are. Moving on. Our next story comes out of Singapore. A strict Southern Asia nation of Singapore has come up with a novel way of encouraging its men's professional soccer league teams to do their best. From now on, losing teams will be fined tens of thousands of dollars. According to Singapore's Today newspaper, the S-League's new, quote, chariot and stick method will provide large cash rewards for winners of the Singaporean title, but will also include 5-figure penalties for teams that finish at the bottom of the league. The 13th place team, for example, will be punished a $50,000 Singapore dollar fine, or around $39,500 in American currency. Quote, we hope these stiff penalties, not just a slap on the wrist, will inspire clubs to do well, S-League CEO Lim Chin told the paper. Clubs will be allowed to pay off their fines in installments over the following season. Okay, so the team that comes in dead last, 13th place, you're going to give them a 5-figure penalty fine just because they lost and they're the last team. I don't really think that's one way to encourage them. It's like, hey, practice harder. Don't fine them, for Christ's sakes. Jesus. But I guess that's how they think things are going to work. But let's see if it actually does. And if it doesn't, then try something different. Moving on. Our next story comes out of Florida, where Christy Lee Brown, 51, was so pleased with the delicious bologna sandwiches she was served while incarcerated in the Brevard County Jail. She repeatedly called 911 to thank County Sheriff Jack Parker. Palm Bay police say Brown dialed 911 half a dozen times on Saturday, October 13th. Quote, "The last time I was arrested, the sheriff gave me his bologna sandwiches," said Brown, occasionally slurring her words to emergency dispatchers. Quote, "I remember them." The 911 operator asked Brown if she had an emergency. Quote, "No," she replied. On subsequent calls, Brown explained her conversation about cooking facilities at the jail. She weighed in on baked beans, rice, and other favorite meals. Brown has been charged with 6 felony counts of misuse of 911 communications. Luckily, Brown is being held on a $3,000 bond at the Brevard County Jail Complex and will be able to eat plenty more of those delicious bologna sandwiches. Yeah! Wow. To think that this lady was incarcerated and she called police half a dozen times to thank them about all the delicious food they eat. Well, I mean, technically, prisoners do get more better food than the kids in school because they're serving kids prison food. Yeah, so it's kind of vice versa on kids that eat food and the prisoners who eat their food. So apparently, I don't know what to make of this. I mean, if a person calls just because bologna sandwiches are awesome, you can always ask them how they make the sandwiches. If they tell you no, then you gotta figure out how it's made. Then you can decide how awesome your bologna sandwich is. But you don't call 911 6 times and go back to jail just because of the food. I don't understand. You know, I just don't know. You know, I'm completely speechless. Moving on. Our next story comes out of Massachusetts, where brother and sister act Robert and Amanda Lavari said there were no thieves, they just like to have sex with one another. According to WGGB TV, the two siblings were caught trying to steal a television from a bar called Samuel's at the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield. They reportedly entered the bathroom around 9 p.m. on Sunday, October 14th, and started, quote, ripping the television off the wall. A manager locked the Lavaris in the bathroom and called police. When officers arrived, Robert and Amanda reportedly claimed they weren't stealing a TV, but were simply having sex in the bathroom. It's not the best alibi in the book, considering incest is a crime in Massachusetts, punishable by up to 20 years in prison. Despite their claims of, well, not exactly innocence, police at the scene found that the bathroom television had been forcibly removed from the wall. Amanda, 30, and Robert, 38, were charged with larceny. Robert was also charged with threatening to commit a crime after allegedly trying to beat up an officer at the police station. You should have thought this through. We all know incest is just horrible and, yeah, punishable in Massachusetts by up to 20 years. Would you rather have a slap on the wrist and get out on bail, or would you rather go to jail saying that you had sex with your sister for 20 fucking years? Yeah, you should have thought that one through. And you also tried to beat up an officer at the police station. You were probably drunk off your ass, or you just hated cops in general. Yeah, dude, way to go. You're gonna get yourself thrown in jail for that. And your sister too, and you dragged her along with it, dude. Something is obviously wrong with the both of you. You should have thought this one through. And you should have known that if you wanted to get a TV, stealing was not gonna get you anywhere. Well, and this is our last story. It comes from North Dakota. where an anonymous online bidder nearly paid $10,000 for a spoiled container of barbecue sauce. The 1-gallon jug of McJordan barbecue sauce was put up for sale on eBay by the former owner of a Bismarck area McDonald's. The condiment was produced back in 1992 and used on a barbecue bacon burger named after Chicago Bulls legend Michael Jordan. The McJordan was only available for a limited time at selected McDonald's locations. The quote, unused, unopened, undamaged item was advertised by owner Mort Bank as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own, quote, the rarest of rare Michael Jordan and McDonald's collectibles. Bank told the Bismarck Tribune, quote, it was in my basement and I would look at it occasionally. I thought it would be worth something. Bank ended up selling the plastic jug filled with the reddish goo for $9,995 to a buyer in Chicago. Bank said he hopes the buyer is, quote, not going to put it on his ribs or his burger. The sauce is believed to have passed its expiration date nearly 20 years ago. Okay. We've heard a lot of people buying weird stuff on eBay for a lot of money, but buying a bottle of barbecue sauce called the McJordan barbecue sauce because it was part of the Michael Jordan thing back in 1992 when the Bulls were absolutely the greatest team. If you're a 90s kid, you remember that. But, man, $10,000. That's a lot of money for a bottle of barbecue sauce. But, yeah, I really don't know what to say to that, though. But, well, like I said, I hope he doesn't use it because that thing is 20 years spoiled. So, hope it doesn't kill him or anything like that. But, anyways, guys, that is it for this edition of Odds and Ends, and I really hope you guys enjoy listening to those stories as much as I like reading them to you. And like I said before, I will have the newest edition, and it will be out by the end of the week, hopefully by Saturday. And hopefully by next Thursday is when my source comes out. And hopefully that should be the schedule from now on, is every Thursday, new Odds and Ends. Like I did it before, this whole job thing kind of threw me off though, but I promise you guys that for sure. So, anyways, guys, we will see you in a few days, actually, for the next edition of Odds and Ends. And until next time, we'll see you guys later, and take it easy.